I still remember the sound of the fork dropping. It was like a gunshot in the silence. My daughter-in-law had just said the one thing no one had ever dared to say to my face. Across the table, my son wouldn't even look at me. And in that moment, over a simple family dinner, 30 years of sacrifice boiled up inside me. What happened next not only changed my relationship with them, it changed the course of my life at 72 years old. But before I tell you what I said that night, let me take you back, because nothing about that evening happened in a vacuum. It was the result of decades of choices, love, and mistakes I didn't even know I was making. I'm Eleanor Hayes, 72 years old, a widow, a retired school teacher, a mother. I've spent most of my life in a little brick house in northern Michigan. The same creaky porch, the same kitchen windows looking out at the apple tree. For decades, this house smelled like chalk dust, cinnamon rolls, and the hum of my son's laughter. And for decades, I thought that being a good mother meant giving and giving and giving until there was nothing left of me but empty hands. That night, the night I finally snapped, started like any other family dinner. But under the surface, a storm had been building for months. 6 months earlier, Michael, my only son, stood on my porch. It was February. Snow clung to his coat. His face looked pale. "Mom," he said, voice trembling, I lost my job. Catherine and I can't pay rent. Just for a few months, please, until I get back on my feet." He didn't even have to ask twice. I opened the little savings account I'd been nurturing since my husband died, the one meant for my future medical bills, maybe a small trip someday. Every month, $1,100 went out of my account and into theirs. I cut back on everything. Dinner became oatmeal, rice, eggs. My arthritis medicine ran low. I kept telling myself it was temporary, that one day they'd see the sacrifices, they'd be grateful. Meanwhile, on social media, I saw photos of them at restaurants, new clothes, weekend trips. I didn't say a word, but a quiet crack had started inside me. That evening, I tried to make everything perfect. Roast chicken with herbs, creamy potatoes, and a warm apple pie, the same pie Michael used to beg for when he was little. I set the table with my grandmother's china, polished the silverware until it shone, lit 2 candles for warmth. Catherine arrived late, wearing a blue dress that probably cost more than my grocery budget for the month. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Michael was fidgety, kept checking his phone. I noticed the tension, but told myself, just get through dinner. Maybe dessert will soften the edges. As soon as we sat down, Catherine started her little digs. "This chicken's a bit dry, isn't it? Don't you think it's time to update this place? My mom's kitchen is so modern." I smiled politely. My house wasn't modern, but every corner held a memory. I swallowed my pride. Again. Dessert time. I carried the apple pie to the table, remembering how Michael used to scrape the bowl clean. For a moment, it felt like old times. Then Catherine leaned back, fork resting on the plate. Her voice cut the air. "You're not even half the woman my mother is." Silence. The clock ticked in the kitchen. Michael stared at his hands. I set the spoon down slowly. My heart was pounding, but my voice calm, clear. "Then maybe your mother can start paying your rent at 12 Oakwood Lane." Michael's head snapped up. "Rent? Mom, what rent?" "The rent I've been covering for you since February. $1,100 every month." Catherine's smile cracked. Michael's jaw dropped. The truth was finally out. Michael stammered. I was going to tell you. I got fired 2 weeks ago. I thought I could fix it before you noticed." Catherine's face turned red. "You lost your job and didn't tell me? I spent $300 on shoes last week. I booked a spa day. I stared at them both. My voice shook, but from anger, not fear. Shoes and spa days, I said slowly, while I sold my wedding ring to cover your rent? Silence. Heavy. For years, I had bent, softened, compromised, but in that moment, I stopped bending. Your lease ends in 30 days, I said. After that, I won't pay a single cent. Michael's mouth opened. Mom, you can't do that. We'll have nowhere to go. You should have thought about that before you lied, I replied. My voice wasn't cruel. It was clear. Catherine slammed her hand on the table. Mothers don't abandon their children. I'm not abandoning my son, I said, locking eyes with her. I'm refusing to be used. There's a difference. When they left, the house fell silent. No tapping, no criticism. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the tick of the clock. I stood at the sink, washing dishes. My hands trembled, not from weakness, but from release. That night, I sat in my rocking chair, the one that had seen me through fevers and storms. For the first time in years, I felt a strange calm. Sleep came deep and dreamless. 2 days later, the phone rang. An old voice, a name I hadn't heard in 50 years. It was Thomas Reed, my college sweetheart. He had built an engineering company in Seattle, widowed 2 years ago, found an old photo of me while sorting through boxes. We spoke for hours, laughed, shared losses. Before hanging up, he said softly, "You deserve an extraordinary life. Come spend a month in Seattle. No expectations, just old friends." I held the phone long after the call ended. A month in Seattle, the Pacific Ocean, the kind of adventure I'd once dreamed of. But I was 72. What if this was foolish? What if Thomas wasn't who I remembered? I made a list, risks, safeguards, and then I realized, for the first time in decades, the decision was about me, not anyone else. I'm not running away, I whispered. I'm choosing myself. A week later, Michael showed up at my door, his clothes wrinkled, eyes hollow. I've been sleeping in my car, he admitted. I found night work, cleaning offices, signed up for online classes, started therapy. I want to do better. I'm not here for money. I'm here to tell you I'm trying. For the first time in years, hope flickered, fragile, but real. A week after that, I stood in my bedroom with an open suitcase, packing dresses for me, for a journey I never imagined. Michael drove me to the airport. At the terminal, he handed me daisies and an envelope. "Don't open until you're on the plane," he said. We hugged longer than we had in years. On the plane, as clouds spread like fields below me, I opened his letter. In shaky handwriting, "Fly high, Mom. You've earned it." I cried quietly, but it was a good cry. Seattle greeted me with cool air smelling of salt and pine. Thomas was waiting with yellow roses, his hair white now, but his smile the same. He drove me to the Pacific coast. I stood barefoot in the sand, watching waves crash endlessly. "I made it," I whispered. Dinner on his deck, salmon, wine. His children came by, warm and kind. "Dad hasn't smiled this much since Mom passed," his daughter told me. For once, I wasn't someone's mother or caretaker. I was Eleanor. Healing didn't come all at once, but each sunset stitched me back together. One evening, Thomas reached for my hand. "I'm not asking for marriage. I'm asking for a chance. Move to Seattle. Let's see what we can build." My first instinct was fear. Then I remembered Michael's letter. "Fly high, Mom." And I said yes. A month later, I stood in my old house, packing the last of my belongings. Michael helped. shoulders straighter. "Funny," he said, smiling. "By letting you go, I feel like I finally got you back. Not the mother who rescued me, but the woman I never knew well enough." At 72, I wasn't closing a chapter. I was opening one. And this time, the story was mine to write. Michael is rebuilding his life, works steadily, pays his bills, calls me to share his progress, not to ask for help. Catherine married someone else, chasing the lifestyle she wanted. I no longer feel bitterness. What I've learned is this: unconditional love without boundaries becomes a trap. Being a mother doesn't mean disappearing. It means raising children to stand, even if it means watching them stumble.